In this video, we'll be taking a look at graphic EQs and effects processors. Let's start with graphic EQs. You can access your graphic EQs if you press the Effects/Graphics Quick Access Screen button. One press will show you the effects. The next press will show you your graphic EQs. Depending on the preferences you've selected, you'll either see a lot or a little, and depending on which Pro Series model you have. If you have a Pro 3, for example, I've selected to have 5 effects processors and 12 graphic EQs. There's a balance there. So if you want more effects processors, you lose some graphic EQs, and if you want more graphic EQs, you're going to lose some effects. So I found this balance helpful for me. So if I double click on the name or title of this graphic EQ, it'll zoom it in for me, and in the top left part of this screen, you have a drop-down menu for where this graphic EQ is being applied. If you press on that arrow, you can choose to apply it on any of the auxiliary sends, on any of the matrices, and on the master left-right mono. If channels are linked, for example, I'm going to go ahead and quickly right now link my master left to my master right. Select that, press this link button, and I go back into my graphic EQ. Once I select my master left, it will automatically apply master right to the next EQ, or the next graphic EQ. So I've only chosen one, but it went ahead and it took up both of those, and any changes that I make to one will be applied to the other. An important note here is that the graphic EQ replaces the EQ that's built into the input or output or whatever you're looking at. So normally you'd have a 6-band parametric EQ on an output. Right now you have this graphic EQ instead. And so the EQ buttons here above the masters, that enables and disables the graphic EQ, and it no longer has the option for the 6-band parametric EQ. Now let's look at effects processors. If you remember earlier, I've patched auxiliary send 2 to effects unit number 1. Right now you see 5 empty rack spaces on my effects rack. If I double click or single click on one of those, it shows me a zoomed in view of that blank space. And if I click change device type, I can select which kind of effect I'd like to place there. Now depending on which software version you're running, you'll see this menu or a slightly different one. I'm going to go ahead and just place a reverb here. A hall reverb. And currently I'm sending some signal through it. I believe I'm sending my auxiliary input from my iPhone, so I'll turn that off for now. And at this point is where the assignable controls come in. This area of the board is what controls the effects unit. There is a corresponding representation of those same controls on the bottom half of the screen, and each control is labeled and it controls something on the effects unit itself. The easiest way is if you touch one of these controls, something on the effects unit gets highlighted and it will show you what you can control. So say I will enlarge the size of this room, give it some more decay, have some diffusion. Sure. I don't remember where I patched this to, so I'm going to go back to my patching screen, and we'll see the audio source here on the left. We'll go to effects. I'll put my pointer over that one, and it'll say is routed to aux return 1. Now how do I get to aux return 1? I'm going to go ahead and put it into a VCA, VCA 10. The way to do that is if you go to VCAs, VCA 10, and press on that little knob right there. We'll click on that, and we can take aux return 1 and add it to that VCA, and aux return 2 and add it to the VCA. Unfortunately, this is the only way to place a return inside of a VCA. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to label that VCA effects and I'll give it a nice yellow color. So now when I press this effects VCA, I should see the VCAs here on the left. Currently they're labeled aux return 1 and 2, and I'm going to go ahead and label those 2. So if I press inputs, go to my input sheet, and my aux returns are here on the right side. Label this one tall left, tall right. Alright, now I've got those labeled. They're a stereo return, but these channels are not currently linked to stereo. I'm going to go ahead and select the left channel and link those as well. So if I go, we've reviewed this in a previous video, linking stereo pairs. Now that I've linked those, they've been summed into one fader because it's being viewed through a VCA, and now my control for the return of that effect is here. Now that return also needs to be assigned to go through to the stereo mains, so we'll assign that, and we should be getting signal coming through to the speakers that I have connected. Alright, let's take a step back, go back to that effects processor. There's a really handy button here. It's called Audition. It really helps you nail down exactly the kind of sound that you're looking for. So if I press that button, I think it's like a clap or something. And it allows you to instantly hear what your effect sounds like. You can make an adjustment and it sounds different. There you go. So I've had that effect set up. I've have it routed to an aux return in a VCA, routed to the stereo output. So this is what a reverb hall looks like. There's also a delay. Well, there's a lot of options overall, but if you're using a delay, it might be smart to use the global tap tempo, because it allows you to use this button up here as a tap tempo, so you can tap your tempo in instead of selecting or having it come in through a different method. So I hope that helps you understand how the routing works with an effect, and how the settings and how the controls are used through these assignable controls here. In the next video, we'll be taking a look at preferences.